Good morning, students. Welcome back to our this class. We are taking the variations in language varieties, and here we are discussing the varieties according to the use. So, language has this special feature that it is both a social phenomenon and an individual phenomenon. It has a form that is controlled and decided by society or by the norms. Here, control and norms of society, we may understand it as the rules of grammar which we are to follow. And then it has its own qualities depending upon the user. Every speaker has his own language in which there are some variations from the standard form of language. That is the individual qualities of a language. So, as Saucer has also said that to understand language is the standard form of the language. Saucer has used the technical term lang for it. To understand lang, one has to study parole. Parole is the practical use of language, the form of language that is used by the speakers in their actual life conditions. So, since language and parole always interact with each other, it is not of any use to study a language without studying how it is used in actual life. Actually, what we call language is an abstract term, and we cannot give more importance either to language or to parole. They all work together, and that's why we find varieties in language according to its use. In our last class, we have discussed the varieties according to register, according to tenor and domain. Here we are going to read another basis of varieties, that is because of the medium. Medium, as we know that we can use a language in two modes, the written and the spoken language, and in our another video we have discussed all these things in detail, that how language written language differs from its spoken form. But here we are going to take it again. So the difference in language, the language varieties according to mode. It is in the medium in which a language is used, spoken or written. There is a difference. In the written medium, the addressee is absent, because when I write, my addressee for whom I am writing is not present before me. For this reason, a written language needs to be more explicit, clear, and easy to be understood. It should not be full of doubts or full of more than one meanings. And it should be well structured in the form of sentences and paragraphs. In the spoken mode, the speaker may get the support of gestures and reactions, verbal and physical, of his own and those of the listener. That is monitoring and the feedback, interaction. These are the two special features of spoken language which are present when we are speaking face to face, and these points are absent in the written form. Another difference is that of stress. Stress, intonation, tempo, and rhythm can't be represented in written form, but they are very much part of our spoken form. To some extent, punctuation marks are used for this purpose in written form, but in speech they are not used. The writer has to formulate his sentences to make successful communication in written form. But when we speak in group of words, and then the word order is generally changed. But it does not cause any misunderstanding or any difficulty in understanding, nor is it any breach of rules of grammar. So, written language will differ from the spoken language. That is the another variety of language according to medium. Then our next point is the variety on the basis of attitude. We have discussed these points in our literary discourse, but here we are reading these points from the point of view of variations in language. So, varieties in language according to the attitude is also called stylistic. Stylistic means the change in the form of language because of attitude. It is just like style. Actually, style is a broader term. It contains all the uh, all the features of language affected by its medium, affected by register, and affected by attitude. Attitude is also related to tenor. It is the choice of the form of language depending upon our attitude to the addressee, to our subject matter, and to our purpose of communication. Attitude is determined by the relationship between the persons involved and the occasion. So it is related to tenor. These factors decide the attitude and style of the language. It may be very formal, or it may be formal, it may be neutral, and it may be informal. But we have to remember that there is nothing pure formal or pure informal. We tend to be formal, more formal, and less formal. There is nothing like informal. In simple terms, it means a variety of language to make it appropriate for the situation. That is attitude. Our attitude should be according to the situation, and we change our language, we modulate our language to fit our that situation. In other words, we change our attitude that is well expressed in the use of our language to suit the purpose. The varieties of attitude are to be learned through maturity. We learn how to speak with elders. We learn how to speak with an elderly stranger. We learn how to speak with a guest. We learn how to speak in a class. So, attitude is taught in a society. We cannot learn it through books. So, it is learned through maturity, adaptability, and sensitivity. We will have to switch to our wordings, we will have to switch to our tone, we will have to switch to our lexis, understanding the situation in which we are talking in actual life. Generally, these things are learnt by following the peer examples. In second language, there will not be much attitudinal varieties of language. Attitudinal varieties because of the change in attitude. We need more practice in second language to adjust our language according to use. So, in a second language, there will not be much attitudinal varieties of language until an advanced skill is achieved. We will have to do more and more practice to learn how to use what form of language in a given situation. Otherwise, our language will remain uh, it will be full of monotony, and we will not be able to change our language according to the change in our tenor or our domain. The formal variety of language is stiff, it is polite, it is impersonal, and it is cold, without much color of emotion. While the informal variety, it is relaxed, it is friendly, it is warm with the touch of emotion, and it is personal. So, because of these attitudes, because of these emotional touch, there are changes in our language, and these changes are called the changes according to attitude, and it is actually related to our tenor and domain. Especially it is related to our tenor. So we can say, so far as use of language is concerned, a language may vary according to its use in different medium. Whether we are speaking or we are listening, it will decide the form of our language. Written form is more, or we can say it is more formal. It is nearer to the formal form of language. Spoken form is not so strictly follow the standard form of language. Then we may say that language also changes according to the subject field in which it is used, and language also varies according to the situation, the attitude, or the relationship between the speaker and the listener, between the writer and the addressee, in which it is being used. So, on these basis, the same language has its different forms to suit the purpose. In our next class, we will take the variety of language on the basis of dialect, on the basis of regional varieties. So, till then, goodbye, students.